Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Rao Kalasu coming to you on a Saturday morning um, on Wisdom, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Twitter, and also YouTube. I just want to reach as many friends of mine as possible, so I kind of making myself available in the morning every day. Uh, So this is right after my yoga session. I would like to convey some thoughts that may be, you know, profound and deep for some people, and then it may be not for some people. That's okay. But I just want to air out my thoughts on some things, some things that appeal to our, deeper aspects of life. So I just want to all of us to really get up in the morning and be in awareness and be in touch with what we really are. If that's the tall order, at least look at the thoughts we are having and don't make them like a mundane, constant worry, constant struggle, constant going after just to make a living versus can we elevate our thought in the morning. That's how this whole thing has started, this idea of doing uh, about elevated thoughts right after you get up. So I'm coming right in the morning so that people can think on these things, not according to me or my dictum or anything like that, but it's out there. A lot of people have been thinking about this important aspect of our life and what's going on out there. If you look at it, we are like in general, by and large, people are not really happy, uh, but they are worried, they are anxious, they are not stable in the sense they were handling the life with a calm demeanor, right? That is something, it's not a crime or anything, but it is right there. So, what do we do? Do we leave it just like that, or do we think about it and say, Are there any better solutions to go about our life? Suppose you are bothered by too much thinking into what happened in the past and then spending a lot of time going through it, regretting it, or hating it, or, you know, in general, really living in the past, right? That a lot of people do, versus people are trying to um, feel like I'm not enough. I need to learn. I need to go and listen to these people, have conversations, and get some lessons from them. That's the one way too. So that's how this self-help movement is really out there. It's quite a tremendous amount of work was done, and lots of times all these are well-intentioned people that are putting out their own observations or conclusions or judgments according to their culture, according to their reading, according to their um, experience. People are putting out these self-help books, self-help conferences, self-help webinars, and all of that, right? Social media has really helped it to grow a lot. So one particular thing that bothered me was all the self-help movement is going on, and many billions of dollars are spent on that. But at the end of it, we were wondering, is that really helping, or on the contrary, it is ruining our life, because a lot of people spend a lot of money, go to retreats, go to good talks, go to, a lot of, even my talks also. I just want to relate to people my own state of being in the bliss, which is very common to a lot of people who are practicing, some kind of meditation, some kind of uh, understanding about themselves, that kind of thing, right? So is the self-help movement helping, or it's hurting us? That's the question I want to explore today, because a lot of people spend a lot of money, a lot of time on this thing. You want to learn a technique to make something that's absolutely, we have to go to experts, we got to attend their lessons and all that. Like, you want to learn a language, you want to learn a musical instrument, you want to learn a technical thing, that's all okay. What I am talking about is self help that is oriented towards inward being and inward anxieties, depressions, worries. I'm not talking about psychiatric conditions, but about general beings are really worrying about how they are, or they may be unhappy if they don't have money, they are unhappy if they have money, they are unhappy if they are not married, or they are unhappy if they are married, or they are unhappy if they don't have children, they are unhappy if they have children, lots of things like that. So they try to reach out to these books and conferences and everybody, uh, saying, okay, I need help on this, let us grow together, let us understand and all that. I think it's all very, very sincere, honest effort, both on the part of the people who are doing the self-help movement and also the people who are looking for it. The question is, why is not working for a lot of people? Why they read one book and then they may you know apply those principles that they learned in the book for a while, but after that it kind of goes out of whack. Why is that, one observation I want to make, I want to my friends to really look at it and understand, is that really good or not, by really looking at the whole thrust of self-help movement is to really glorify somebody's achievement. Somebody has done this, has earned this much of money, or six-figure salaries, whatever they highlight. It's like achievement of that person, and they interview and they want to emulate, they want to copy that person and all of that, and in the process, they may feel like, hey, that person is achieved so much, but whereas I am not at that stage. So it's kind of emphasizing what is lacking in them, the person who is listening to the self help message, whatever it is, that is the thing. The listener, the receiver, is feeling like I am inadequate compared to what's going on with other person. And that's what I'm really worried about. Whereas the uh, Eastern practices, when I looked at it, what they said was, hey, you are within you have this being which is whole, complete, and forever fulfilled. Stay there and then go about the life. And that was very enormously fulfilling, enormously really giving you a lot of strength and all. Let me see. I have a guest on the Bella. Hi, Bella. How are you? Yeah, yeah. I hear you all the time. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So what? Yeah. So I just started this series on the morning. Let's wake up with a thought that is, elevating us, our own, start the day with that. That I thought that will be better for a lot of people. What do you think?
combine the science with the
Yeah.
spiritual element with practicality, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
And you know, um, I'm not practicing, so I'm saying this from somebody out of the profession.
Yeah.
Is that you did say something which made me come up
Yeah.
about six-figure incomes, etc.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's where the problem is
Yeah.
because we're looking at. You probably heard me say this about the cultural framework of
Yeah.
success,
Yeah.
which is if I am successful,
Mm.
I have this, this, and this.
Mm.
And then I may do a few numbers
Yeah.
to complete it. And I say this from experience
Yeah.
because before I went to medical school, I worked in international finance and management consulting.
Mm.
With what people would regard as success. And as soon as I said, I was going to medical school, everybody thought I was mad.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why? And
Yeah.
I'm paying the price for it. So I think I write about it.
Yeah.
But the reason is that success is judged according to whether you're part of the inner circle
Yeah.
and then whether you have access to material resources.
Yeah.
And it always bothered me that why is it that when you earn more money,
Mm-hmm.
you actually don't have to spend more money?
Yeah.
Whereas the people who are poor, who would benefit
Yeah.
from the theater tickets, etc. So when you look at the cultural framework,
Mm.
it's very transactional.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And therefore, perhaps when people go into the self-help movement, they think, you know what? I'm going to pay £3,000 for
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm going to find what is happening. And
Mm-hmm.
Jesus says,
Yeah.
I'm not as versed in the Eastern Texas as you are,
Yeah.
but Jesus said it's difficult for a rich man to go. What is it? It's more difficult for a rich man to go through the iron of the needle than a
Yeah.
camel.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
because sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm aware of
So
that. What he said there. Yeah. That I agree totally. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sorry if yeah, but I'll land this point.
Yeah.
It's people are going to all these ashrams.
Mm-hmm.
More ashrams are moving,
Yeah.
and they go, etc.
Yes.
And then you still have your finances.
Mm-hmm.
You still can go to pay 10,000 or how much it is to go to an ashram.
Yeah.
Yet you read the news and then you find that people are homeless.
Yes.
People are this. And rather than to connect spiritually,
Mm.
we're connecting with our money. And this is my thoughts.
No, no,
I'm
no.
not God.
That's exactly my point too, Bella. That's what I'm saying. Are we doing on ourselves? Like putting through ourselves to the needle. Are we really going through the experience that we have and then connecting to our inner being, which we both of us talk all the time? That's the question. You know. Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
and I don't think people are emulating other people's is their experience, but then if they learn some message from them and then apply and then go through this process of transformation, then that will be good. But this kind of helping, oh, you make this much or material success and all of that, it really doesn't allow you to look yourself inside in a
mm-hmm,
constructive way and find out the divinity is within me, and then
mm-hmm,
that kind of nurtures us. And that's what I always talk about. Being blissful mean what? Turning inward and really looking at what we are. Suppose we are angry, we can admit and look at and then see what is that anger about, and that kind of self reflection, not really blaming ourselves but looking at it simply. And
mm-hmm,
that's what we are always talking about. Touch it, divinity inside. It is there, but then you have to go through certain inner transformation to get to that. And then all the messages, whatever the self-help movement, everybody is doing it. I think it's worthwhile. I'm kind of afraid it's not happening. People are taking a technique without thinking we have to transform, and then they waste a lot of money, resources, and everything, and then they feel more miserable because still comparing themselves to somebody who have achieved those material success or internal success, whatever. And then that is what my concern is.
The question of comparison,
Mm,
uh, I think comes from an unfulfilled need,
yeah, yeah.
and transformation is not overnight.
It's not.
Um,
It's
I, I, I mean, I look back
mm-hmm.
before my trauma, and I think I saw faith as an insurance policy.
Mm,
Because one was caught in the material aspects of
yeah,
what success was.
yeah.
So, I'll go to church on Sunday, I'll do this, but it was transactional. It
Mm,
was only going through my trauma did I realize that how important the divine was in my
yes.
life. And that's just a personal
Yeah.
um,
No,
thing.
no, no, Bella. That is kind of universal these days. You go to India, everything has become transactional. They want to
Mhm.
go to the temple and do 100. They offer coconut. I'll give you 100 coconut. Get me through this exam. People, people are going to temple and wanting I will get visa to America if I go to the temple and do this kind of roundabouts temple. They call it pradakshina. They go around the temple so many times. The deeper meaning they don't know. They are making it everything transactional, and they don't like it when they point it out, but that is what is true. Transactional
Mhm.
was transformational.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's where the emptiness lies. I
Yeah.
had a brilliant mentor, Wayne Dyer. I
Mm.
mean, one of
Oh
the
yeah.
self
Oh yeah.
movement
Mm-hmm.
gurus, and he was so down to earth.
Yes.
And I have only 1 minute, so I can't even discuss how I met him.
Yeah.
But what you, when you read his books, you
Hmm.
see Wayne Dyer
Yeah.
because he had when you abandon yourself to the divine,
Mm.
if you can do it constantly, it's very
Surrender. Yeah.
difficult.
Mm.
You don't have to do anything,
Yeah.
it comes.
Yeah.
But we live in a material world,
Yeah.
and the more transactional it becomes, the
Mm.
more empty one finds.
Yeah.
Like I found, I'm very grateful for the experiences
Mm.
I've had, but there were times when I would say to myself,
Yeah.
why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing? Why why am I here? What is my purpose? And and Deepak Chopra said these three things to me. He said when I consulted him when I wanted to do the transition,
Mm.
and it was almost like grace. Our eyes met,
Mm.
and he sat down with me and we talked through this. And he said, every morning wake up and say, why am I here?
Mm.
What do I want? What
Mm.
is my purpose?
Yeah.
And when I we, what this is what I mean about essence. When your essence connects with someone,
Mm.
it
Yes.
doesn't matter whether you've got all these labels,
Exactly.
because you're connecting from the place of a higher intelligence, which is love.
Yes.
So thank you, Dr. Rao. It's a
Yes.
pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Bella. Thank you coming up. Yeah,
Stay
agreed.
blessed.
Because that inner awareness, inner being is that oneness but we all have. That's what Bella is referring to. I'm glad she mentioned it. Let's say somebody else is, oh, Wendy is here. Let me talk to her and then we'll go into that inner transformation. Hi, Wendy.
Dr. Ralph.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I've never actually gotten to speak to you person to person before, so I feel so honored. Oh my goodness.
I saw you so many times, heard you too. So, what do you think about this self help movement? What is the effect you think?
um, I think I'm actually I listened to Bella and I'm kind of thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
Um, that and I'm a huge Wayne Dyer person, by the way.
yeah.
Um, that let's see. I think it's a great thing. I
Hmm.
think it tends to label people.
Mm-hmm.
If you get too immersed in it, you can absolutely be stuck and
Mm.
labeled forever. If you don't have, and I've had this conversation with, gosh, my husband. I said, it's a great tool,
Mm.
but it has to be taken a step further into
Yeah.
the spiritual world,
Yeah.
into spirituality. Otherwise, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And I believe we call it paying lip service to things,
Mm.
meaning, yeah, whether it be, gosh, again, it goes back to Catholicism when people had to pay for penance.
Yeah.
Yes, and so you give a little bit of money and you're absolved.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. you know, I mean that it's much deeper than that,
Yeah.
and
No,
that's
it's
what we have.
not just Catholicism only. I think most of the, you take Hinduism, Islamism, any of those, they are going down to the transaction more than looking inward, having the
Mm,
transformation. You can take message from Dane Wire or anybody. If you trace him, he will also go there and say, I have transformed myself like this. Catch that and then apply that transformation methods into your life according to you, whatever it is. And then that will really result in something fundamentally good for you. I think so. Mm.
right. I mean, again and I'm gonna cut out soon because I have to get ready to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But it basically, like I said, to me, that's a tool.
Yeah.
Again, it makes you feel good about
Mhm.
yourself. You showed up, you did what you thought you needed to do, made you feel good. But take it a step further, and that can be, for me,
Mm.
um, going out into nature, getting quiet, doesn't cost anything. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a
just
very, very important thing you touched, Wendy, that nature. See, when I was studying ancients in China or India or Egypt or anywhere, they are more in tune with the nature, and
hmm
they really acted out their own nature too. And then they had a big science on that, that we have these natural tendencies of bioenergies, and accordingly we kind of think, feel, and act to the more we understand our inner nature, and we are synchronous with it rather than the cultural norms, and we are much better. Yeah, absolutely. Nature.
I think, yeah, because it's funny because I mean I learned about spirituality. I came to learn about these things outside of religion because religion was leaving me short, and
Mm,
and then you realize just like grounding, all these things. I was doing these things my whole life. We did these things as children. We figured these things out because innately we know
exactly.
what we need to do. We know what's there. If you get quiet and get into nature,
Yeah.
do those things, then it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Exactly. See, we even have forest bathing, Wendy, as a stress relieving technique where we want people to go. Don't think anything, just be absorbed in the flowers, in the grass, in the wind, whatever you can appreciate, and they completely immersed in it. That itself takes them away from all the worrying thoughts and anxieties and all that. And then they come back to them and solve those problems much better rather than just constantly thinking about things. Take a break in the nature. Well, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And I think I learned that from, gosh, a million years ago when I first read Eckhart Tolle. You know,
yeah, in the now, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes. And that's where I kind of said, yes, exactly,
yes.
exactly. Yeah.
And no,
So,
Eckert is really, the way he said to be aware, or bringing back the memory of being, and then embedding in that with the feeling realization is enlightenment. That's what he had gone through. And then
hmm
I think he is really helping a lot of people to go past that ego and establish themselves into the conscious being, and then the way he does is also he does it from his inner being, not intellectual conclusions or anything. That's why I love Eckhart.
yeah, and his books, they're very simple.
Yeah.
You can read them. You stop. It tells you stop here, think
Yes.
here, and I actually like doodle in the pages, and yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing, and
Yeah,
I
he
do.
still is very active, and he's doing a lot of it. Eckhart Tolle TV, which
Mm,
I was subscriber for a while. But then, what he points out to the eastern depth of it, um, because I was going there all the time, so Eckhart is easy for me to understand and appreciate. You know,
mm, mm. Me too. Me
yeah,
too. I found him. I and then I revisited it. I sent it to my kids. And I'm like, read this, read this, read this, because it makes sense. And then I go back and reread because you see something new all the time.
yeah.
So
No, an exercise he did, Wendy. Young man who happens to come by, and then they both sitting on a bench on a garden. I think
mhm,
Eckhart's associate, that lady is also there. But then the essence thing is what is going on with this young man's mind at that time, and then
mm,
they go through that, and that's a very beautiful experience to go through with them and understand what they are talking about firsthand as you are going through the experience yourself. I would recommend to anybody to see that and then not just listen it, but go through the exercise of what is going on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's about being present. It's about
Yes, exactly.
stop,
So yeah, he
stop,
takes
stop.
him to the exercise of that, and then that guy is all bundled up, and the way he comes to the present, and immediately everything opens to him is beautiful to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally, I love me some ex bully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Eckhart Tolle is
yeah,
a good one to really think about in the morning. That would be a very good elevated thought to get us
it
into
is.
the present. No?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm gonna sign off because I hear people waking up in my house going, "What are you
Sure.
doing?
Wendy.
Get shower."
I
Get
get up
dressed.
at way early, so this is kind of late for me. So that's good. Yeah.
It was so nice talking to you today, and
Thank you,
I
Wendy.
and getting a chance to actually speak to you
Yeah.
one on one.
Yeah.
Amazing. You
Thanks,
have a
Wendy.
wonderful
Yeah.
day.
Thanks for coming up, talking to us.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye bye. So those are our friends Bella and Wendy, and another one, golden voice, Lois. Yeah. Uh, Hi, Lois.
Hi, Dr. Ra. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm very happy to see you. I'm sure you will support me on this. Tell me, what do you think a self-help movement?
Well, you know what? I have a mixed bag with all of it
Yeah.
because I feel that when people begin to look for help and
Mm.
it's available,
Mm.
that it is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But when they find that the help is not working, they
Mm.
generally don't go seek greater help.
Yeah.
They go get more self-help books.
Yes.
And I think that if people would just know that the self-help movement is just to get you started on the journey. If the
Yeah.
self-help books are not the journey itself,
So right.
it's just
Yeah.
like to spark that thing. And everybody who writes self-help books, everybody is not coming from a place of helping people.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are coming from the place of making money,
Yeah.
and they'll sell with sales,
Yes.
and they'll sell somebody else's stuff that's not even their original stuff
Yeah.
just because they change a few words, and it's not plagiarism because you put it in your own words, but it's somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then it's not experiential. They're
Mm-hmm.
just reading books in class and saying, "Oh, I can write a book about this because I learned about it in class."
Yeah.
And it's a big difference writing a self-help book from an experiential place
Yeah.
and from a book knowledge place. So in that's where the self-help get all icky and stuff.
Mm.
Now I can't and then I can't say it ruins anybody's life, but
Mm.
the people who take it too far, it hinders their growth because they're missing the mark. What
Mm.
which is what which is what you talk about, what I talk about, what Bella talk about, where Willie's coming from, getting to that essence of the self is what self help is all about, to getting to self love.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
if you say self love movement,
Hmm.
I'm all aboard
Yeah,
because anything you're doing is going to lead you directly to your soul.
yeah.
Uh,
That is
so
self help.
you
Yeah.
can't say self love without getting into the soul work. There's no
Yes.
way you can.
Yes. See, the
You know.
self love also, the term that we use is exactly right. But then people think like, oh, I could be egotistical and then I'm loving myself, whatever I say. That may be the only caveat, you know.
Okay,
Otherwise,
okay, wait. The egotistical,
yeah,
ego is not the.
self.
You got to get to super ego
Yeah,
before you get to talking about using the ego in love,
yeah.
because the ego itself is for your defense
So
to
you have
help
a
you guard
new,
yourself until you come to maturity where you can begin to look for your mate.
yeah, Lois, I like that what you said, stupid ego.
Well,
Identifying it like that, I like that,
but the thing is that you do, you got to get beyond the
Yeah,
ego. You have to get beyond the ego.
exactly,
Now,
exactly.
when you get to the state of the altruism
Mhm.
and self love and all that stuff, you're in the area of the super ego, which is
Yeah,
where we're supposed to strive to be if we're gonna
yeah.
be on that Freudian chart at all.
You
Okay, if you
know,
want to be on Maslow, you can be self actualized. Whatever it is, you got to get to a place where it's not the other esteem that you're looking for or they
yeah,
esteem. You get self esteem, and you can't get self esteem until you can love and appreciate yourself and have compassion for
yeah.
yourself. And out of that,
Yes. Wendy
flows
and
everything
Wendy
else.
and me were talking about Eckhart Tolle, and he was always pointing that out. He said Rene Descartes, the French philosopher, when he said, "I think, therefore I am," I think he stopped one step short. He should have said, "I'm conscious, therefore I am," and then this ego can be tamed into a slave rather than a boss, and then you will go transgress the ego to your essence, the self we are talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, so for me, I said that
yeah,
the ego moves from being the CEO to being on the board of directors or the chairman on the board, but it really don't have any power.
yeah, yeah. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
The CEO is really running things. So
Yes.
when you can move that, and like I said again, the CEO being your super ego, and and your the chairman just they just meet, the board just meets together to come up with what they think they should do, but
Yeah.
the person who's really running things is the CEO. So we got to get to where we put the ego on the board, because we
Mm,
need it. We still going to need it throughout the
yeah.
rest of our life, rather than how we say, oh, we don't ego, forget the ego. No, because the ego is where you get that gut feeling, and then it rises up to let you
Yeah.
know that you're not thinking in line with your true self. The ego is necessary to keep our. It's like a Geiger counter. You go into defensiveness. You ain't thinking like spirit.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
into jealousy. You ain't. You get to displacing stuff. So it's like the ego is still necessary, but it has to be put in perspective.
Yeah. Let's
And
put
the
it.
self
Let's
help
put it this
movement.
way. Ego is a poor master but a good slave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's a wonderful slave, because the thing
Yeah.
is, it's not just a slave, it's also a lookout. It's
Yeah.
a good lookout. It'll
Yeah.
look out for you.
Exactly.
Something coming down your way, the ego pops up and say, hey,
Mm,
check
yeah.
this out. And that's okay, because you're checking out what you need to clean up, or you're checking out what you need to watch out for. Either way, the ego is good, but you just got to get out of the base ego, because you start
Yeah.
with the id, where you're just like, give my needs,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Then you get the ego and say, oh, I can't get all my needs like that. Let me back up. Let me figure out a way to supplement this shit. And
Yes.
and we don't do this. We don't do this consciously. And the
Mm,
only thing with the self help movement is they tell you different things,
mm,
practical ways to do it, but they don't explain to you why, where, the
yeah.
science, all of that stuff that would make that locks it in there, that makes you know, hey, wait a minute, this is my physiology. Oh, this
Yes.
is how emotions work. Oh, this is how the energy works. Oh,
Yes.
this is go do 5 steps to a millionaire, 10 steps to a blessing. They do
Yeah.
all that stuff
Yeah.
trying to sell you books.
Yes.
But the thing is only occurs the movement only occurs when people really are digging for help.
Yeah,
Because
into that.
like I said, it just the door opens with the self help books,
Yeah,
and it does. And I've read many of books. I've read. I know how. It's funny. I have not read a lot of books y'all talk about on here. I've never read before, but I swear I read them when y'all talk about them because I experienced it.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like I
exactly.
had not read Eckhart Tolle's The New World or Brave Birds or whatever else he
Yeah,
has written.
New
Now
Earth.
Wayne Dyer,
Yeah,
yes, I read Wayne Dyer because that's my ace coon. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because me and him think alike.
Mm.
You know, as far as psychology and all that stuff, and then when we got to the place where psychology just wasn't cutting it no more. Okay, just that therapy, sitting with the people in therapy, repeating the problem over and over again, just did not cut it for me. It don't sit right, and it doesn't now. That's why
Yeah,
I'm a retired therapist.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think you're um, pointing out something they everybody knows about is that we are actually spiritual, heartful being, and we brought out the mind to outlook, okay, take us out there and say look out for us, that's a good term you use it, Lois, but then the lookout entity is kind of became the dominant thing and then separates us from that spiritual being which is the oneness we all have, and that's where the suffering starts, and the consequences will be more so. All these religious activities, everything actually oriented towards transgressing that ego, understanding it's the right place. um, I think people don't do that, don't establish themselves in that spiritual heart, and that's why
because
they
it
go after. Yeah,
expanded. That's what I'm saying. The
yeah,
whole thing is
yeah,
self-help movement talks about get rid of ego, the ego
yeah,
this, ego that. But if you had a true understanding
yeah,
of how what the ego is, what its
exactly.
defenses are, how it operates,
That's what.
how you can elevate out of that part of you,
Yeah.
that ego part, then you can really get to the other side. And I mean, there's always
Mm.
a side to it. There's
Yes.
always another side. If there's one end that's pointy, I mean that's hot, there's an end that's cold. If an end that's north, there's an end that's south.
Yeah.
There's always another side. So my whole thing is self help. The self help movement helps people who are willing to help themselves
Yeah.
because all it does is opens the door and leads them to the path of who they truly are. And
Exactly. That.
you're not getting any help, if you get more somebody for real, not a book.
Yeah.
Get a health professional. And that's all I have to add. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Rob.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you. Yeah, understanding the ego structure, that's very key, as Lois was pointing out. That is what I love about her. She comes from her real heartful space of her being, So she was saying the self help movement can point out to what you want to change to, what you want to transform to, but that work has to be done by you. And then that is the thing with the self-help movement, what they are pointing it out. If you take it like um, this is bad for me because I'm not like them, that may be ruining your life. But if you take it like a message where you want to go, what you want to transform into, and then you go into your inner work. It's not something getting out there, but inner work, so that you can see for yourself what you are, and then you go from there. Okay, and then you don't blame or anything, you just accept as you are, and then you set out to be what you want to be. Suppose you are an angry person, you want to really understand anger, where it comes, and then how it is, what are the triggers, and then maybe have some practices of calming yourself down. I think that would be worthwhile. So what are you looking for, and then is the just reading the books or reading the lessons or getting motivated, does that help, or all that messages are taken in and then you do some inner work, that's where you have to calm yourself down. You have to really have practices where your body is calm, your mind is calm, and then you have the energy to look at who you are and transform yourself. So that's very wonderful. A lot of my friends came up and basically reiterated what we are talking about. I'm not blaming the self help movement, but I'm questioning how it is practiced on a large extent, why large many people are reading them and spending a lot of money attending them, but then they are not really feeling the way they have thought they will. And they may be motivated initially, but because the next day you go into something else and all these messages are kept aside. So, for example, somebody wants to sleep very well, and then we tell them this is what you do, this is how the good sleep happens, don't see all these devices before you go to sleep, and don't get so much information into your head and all that. You got to do them though. You have to really put those devices away before you sleep. Actually, there's what is called digital sunset. That's what I want people to really understand and practice is, with the sunset all these devices also go down. That's what it is. This a sunset is where you shut off all your devices at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and then live. What does it mean? It means go and take care of your family, talk to them, listen to them, and to walk with them, or eat with them, and converse with them, and know what they are feeling, what they are having, and also take care of the life around you, pets, animals, or you have the plants, or go into the garden and appreciate the beauty of the creator creation, and smell the roses, live. That means not just be in the head unless it is needed. But we are in an information age where 24 hours we are with this information going into us one direction continuously. That is something that is out of whack. It's not life. The tools, the information is supposed to enhance our life, not to decrease our life. We should be able to do a lot of things very quickly, and then really live our life, relate with people and things and everything around you. And that way you're always replenishing yourself. So these kind of things were forgotten. Everything is entertainment out there, and stimulation, motivation, and then depression and anxiety. All these have become so normal, people are immune to them. you know they may hear somebody and they feel really excited about it, and then they say, okay, this conversation is very stimulating. Stimulating what? Towards what? Is it resulting in you are so stimulated, inspired, that you want that message to be in your life implemented? That's what I talk about religions all the time. Don't go for the messenger, rather go for the message of whatever they are saying. If you can really take hold of that message, understand, and go into it, explore it, inquire into it, and wonder about why they have done it, what it is going to do to your life. That is the message taken in and then implemented. That will result very well with the self-help movement. But the self-help movement make you feel like inferior comparing to the persons who are really successful, then that becomes a problem, right? So, and then that's happening with a lot of people than we get to admit. Each person can evaluate for themselves, like a Wayne Dyer or a Cartoli or anybody that you have listened to, understood, and take the message. And like Kurt talks about being in the now, and that is not new though, but he discovered it, and then his entire life changed, right? So they always talked about, unless you take care of the present, you don't take care of your future. So don't live in the past. This life is here and now. uh, Future is not here yet. Past is gone. Don't go live there. You can understand the past and learn the lessons and implement them. But when you're implementing, that is still present. So life is present. Once you are in the present, that is something that's age old people did. So what they did was they didn't let go of this mind go one activity after one activity after another, doing, and that is what we have to caution against. Do we have to do so many things, or do we enjoy the things that we do? And when you do that, then whatever amount of doing is okay. Is your mind kind of calm and quiet and enjoying, smiling, and really getting most out of it? That's the one you want to look at. That's the subjective thing, right? It's not like a objective thing. It may be seen by other people, but you yourself you will know whether you are anxiety ridden or whether you are depression ridden or when we are joyful reading. That's the thing we have to compare ourselves, not the external achievements of other people. I hope everybody got something out of this 1 hour. I'm glad some of my friends came up and talked about this. Hopefully, we will do more talks as we go along, and then I'm going to do something about education tomorrow. The thought is going to be something I'm going to present to you right now, so that in the morning you wake up with me, and then we can explore it together. See, it's a question on the present education. You know, is it only for survival? Is it teaching us only the things that we need to survive or enjoy the superficial things, or is it allowing us to blossom as an individual? So the question is present education only for survival or blossoming of individual? So that's what we are going to explore tomorrow. And I thank you all for joining me. And I want to keep this within the hour if possible. And that's what we are going to do now. If nobody else is coming up on the wisdom or Instagram, I will close this at this time. Thank you very much for joining me.